Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So a couple days ago, the president decided to do a thing. He went over to Philadelphia and decided to give a speech on unity in this country and, wanted to bring us all together, wanted to make sure that this country's on the right path. So we're going to break down that speech and see how well he did with bringing the country together, because he's known to be such a unifier.
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its Declaration of Independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea unique among nations, that in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They are how we became the greatest nation on earth. They are why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it.
Oh dear, an assault on democracy. The president should probably tell us who and what is such a dire threat to democracy. Is it the illegals pouring into the country? Is it the fentanyl being smuggled in through our southern border and killing our citizens? Is it another pandemic like COVID? Or even worse, a pandemic of the unvaginated, like monkeypox?
Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just, that is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal.
This is not normal. I guess he must mean gas prices or inflation. Maybe it's kids being encouraged to hang out at nightclubs and bars with drag queens and perverts. Could it be the people in this country trying to normalize sick bastards by calling them minor attracted persons?
Donald Trump and the Maga Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans, are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Nope, there it is. It's Trump and MAGA. Let the hypocrisy and lies begin. Since when does Joe Biden decide what the mainstream Republicans are? Are we talking about Liz Cheney, Anna Navarro, Adam Kitzinger? Are they the mainstream he speaks of? I'm glad he said that not all Republicans are a threat. Apparently it's just the 76 million or so of us that voted for Trump.
These are hard things, but I'm an American president. Not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful.
Oh, good, he got back to uniting as an American president. I'm glad after his family has been made rich by Ukraine and China, he still thinks he's an American deep down.
And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country.
Oh, spoke too soon. Back to the divisive a couple sentences later. Those dirty MAGA people don't respect the Constitution. Don't believe in the rule of law or accept elections, huh? I mean, this man has pushed for a misinformation board directly against the First Amendment. He has attacked the Second Amendment every chance he gets. His VP said the 2016 election used voting machines that couldn't be trusted, and Stacey Abrams still claims she is the governor of Georgia. Voter ID laws are being passed in red states to actually try to ensure fair elections. That's obviously dragging us back into the Dark Ages, right? And let's not forget the MAGA Supreme Court. Completely illegitimate, getting rid of the right to choose. The ability to murder your offspring is absolutely the soul of America. Without that right that was invented by the court, democracy would absolutely die.
They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Luttig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Oh boy, here comes January 6th again, darkest day in the history of our democracy. Obviously, a well-thought-out insurrection lacking weapons or a clearly defined purpose. Hell, the insurrectionists didn't even have F-15s, and we all know you can't destroy a government without F-15s. And he named a conservative judge that thinks MAGA is a threat, obviously the only sane Republican. We should probably all listen to him and just abandon any conservative principles we have, because January 6th, right?
But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point, one of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness.
Yes, we are at an inflection point. We can choose socialism, abortion, high inflation, energy dependence on other countries, racial segregation, the rejection of basic facts like there's only two genders. We can choose the party that censors free speech and wants everyone disarmed, as it actually goes down the path of authoritarianism through lockdowns and mandates. Just do what I want you to, and we can all get along. Right, Joe?
MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence.
And here comes the projection. I remember 2020, the summer of love. I remember the riots. I remember Antifa and BLM. I remember the last 2 years as the truth was oppressed and called conspiracy, and a sitting president was removed from social media along with thousands of others. I can even remember a party spouting nonstop lies of Russia collusion, and 2 attempts to impeach a president that were predicated on lies. Reverse everything he says here, because we all know the left projection is one of the favorite tools. Which party respects the Constitution, the rule of law? It's okay if Stacey Abrams, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris all question elections all the way back to 2000. But how dare Republicans be upset that the voting rules were changed against many states' own laws, resulting in a questionable election that bucked every election trend and bellwether principle ever?
We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still, at our core, a democracy. And yet, history tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight, I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology.
All right, it needs to be said. We are not a democracy, no matter how much Dems want mob rule. We are a democratic republic. Or you could call us a representative democracy. And that may be the only thing that has kept us going. And let's address this political violence. Shall we start with Scalise being shot at the congressional baseball game practice? The riots by Antifa and BLM come to mind. Which party was bailing them out as they burned cities, police precincts, and courthouses? How about the attempted assassination of Kavanaugh and his family? Again, he uses that word unite while calling half of America a threat to democracy. I don't think it means what he thinks it means.
We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We hear, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America. Period. None. Ever.
Oh, good. Based on that, I take it Antifa will now be prosecuted fully, and Karine Jean-Pierre will now start condemning the violent protesters who break the law outside of Supreme Court justices' houses. Will the swatting of Marjorie Taylor Greene be fully investigated and prosecuted? Nope, didn't think so, you hypocritical jackass.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January the 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents, just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens. On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are.
What we have seen is Americans imprisoned without trial for 2 years, Democrats defunding the police and getting rid of bail laws, allowing criminals to do as they please. We saw looting and even changes to laws to allow blatant theft up to $900 of inventory in blue states. We saw an election where Republican poll watchers were kicked out of precincts, cardboard was put over windows so the count couldn't be seen, and fake pipe break stories to stop counting votes, and much more. We have also seen the FBI used for 6 years as a political tool by the left. From Russia collusion hoaxes, and now we've seen a raid on the former president and likely 2024 opponent of this demented idiot. Yet no violence. This is just more projection.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined, for that is a path to chaos. Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country. But democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated. And that's where the Maga Republicans are today.
The left has no moral clarity or conviction. It sounds like he's asking for more fortification of elections to me. This man's party does not believe in debate and disagreement. They've removed the filibuster for judicial nominees and then whined about it being used against them. They viciously attack judicial nominees from the right, up to and including false rape allegations against Kavanaugh. They are currently trying to get rid of the filibuster to avoid any debate or disagreement. If leftists didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all. Everything he said about election outcomes is far more applicable to the Dems going all the way back to 2000.
They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not the will of the American people be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost.
So you can't love your country only when you win. Which party thinks the flag is a symbol of hate? Which party is determined to take down statues, rename schools and roads, and erase our past because our country's founding is just too problematic? Which party kneels for the national anthem and tells kids in schools they don't need to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Which party abhors the Constitution, capitalism, our founding, and our exceptionalism? This is more hypocrisy and projection.
MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And today, America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go.
Here we go. Now we're going to go with light and dark, good versus evil. I guess at this point we can point out that there is a blood-red glow behind Joe, and the set and his mannerisms look straight out of 40s propaganda. Speaking of propaganda, here you list all the spending projects he has done that have crippled the economy, caused massive inflation, created energy shortages, the highest gas prices in history, and has sent billions of dollars to a corrupt foreign government that is in a war with Russia. I'm glad he's so proud of spending more money than any other president in history. It's literally destroying this country's economy, housing market, small businesses, and the middle class.
And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever. The cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. It's never easy, but we're proving in America, no matter how long the road, progress does come. Look, I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty.
So now the Anti-Inflation Act is a climate initiative, and Joe stopped COVID. And as we can all see, businesses are thriving, right?
No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say, I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward, not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of grievance, but on a future we can build together.
Oh, you gotta throw in some white supremacy. And by the way, in Joe's mind, apparently MAGA, Nazis, and COVID are all equal, and he is bringing light to end all of these things. Does his word as a Biden mean something? His family is full of corruption. His son's an addict, a criminal, a degenerate, and a whore. Joe's own daughter says in her diary that he has some very disgusting habits. This may be the most vile and corrupt family in all of politics. His word as a Biden doesn't mean much. Oh, great news. Joe has once again declared he's going to cure cancer. This man is delusional.
The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail. They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind. I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us, us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God, that all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect, that all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence, and that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible.
Let's get something straight. MAGA doesn't believe that to succeed, everybody else has to fail. We believe in American exceptionalism and the American dream. We believe in meritocracy. We despise the woke, and we do not believe in the equality of outcome. The soul of this country is threatened by globalist ideals, socialism, race theory, and equity. All the theories that destroy the individual, merit, and exceptionalism.
Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But history and common sense good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before.
Here we go. Let's call for unity again while demonizing the other side. All the protesters are idiots. Let's go, Brandon. He says that these people don't have manners. This is a guy who calls people dog-faced pony soldiers. Loves sniffing kids. Loves talking about Bo to the parents of soldiers his poorly thought-out actions caused the death of. What a demented, narcissistic, senile, dumb son of a bitch.
Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do our duty in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our worst. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be, and that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy, that for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, the United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
So vote, 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 and also report those dirty MAGA people. They're trying to destroy everything in the United States, democracy itself. We are the United States of America, except the 76 million or so that I just told you are evil and a threat. Democracy. Now let's take a minute to watch the divider-in-chief turn to shake hands with no one and walk off into the distance.